Hi, Katzcradul here. Prepare and I had some work to do in the garden today and thought we'd bring you along. The main reason for going out was to prune the apple trees, but of course you know we are waging war against the Japanese beetles with a vengeance. Here's a glass of water that Prepare put a little bit of soap in, and she's got both grasshoppers and Japanese beetles in there. The grasshoppers kind of sink to the bottom there, and then we just pitch that when we're done. So that's about standard for one little picking, and in a couple of hours we'll go out and pick that many more. We're trying to get as many Japanese beetles as we can because we don't want them to deposit their little eggs that form larvae in the ground, and you need to get as many as you can before July because that's when that happens. The strawberries have finally quit producing. They just are a ground cover under my apple trees, so now it's safe to go in there and step. I'm not going to be squashing any strawberries or blossoms because they're done. So now I can safely go in and prune my apple trees, which have just been going crazy for the last couple of months. There's lots of new growth on them and lots of limbs going every which way, but I just was real hesitant to get in there until the strawberries were done. So now it's safe. You can see there's one limb on the left there that's going straight up. I've got to really make a decision here and decide which limb I'm going to choose as the main leader. You just want one main limb going up, but you can see up here that I have two that fork. I'm going to pull out that one on the left and the one in the back, and then I've got to make some kind of decision between those other two. And what I might do is just prune them both down. I watched a video today where there's a whole orchard with just a stub at the top. This one's giving me fits. I needed bigger pruning shears here, but I finally am able to snip it off, and it's a nice clean cut, so I'm happy with that. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take this one off in the back because I don't really want them to be much higher than the fence. So that one comes off. And one more toward the back comes off. So now I'm left with two that are just right about the same size and kind of at the same angles, and I may end up cutting them both off. That's the one that would come off if I was just going to leave the other one because it's at a bigger angle than the other one. But I'm just going to think on it for a little while. I'm just trimming everything off there. I think I'm going to come back and I may cut them both off, just leaving the stub up the top. Here's one. You can see this limb here growing straight up. That's got to come off. And you won't find all the pruning videos to agree. Some people say leave a little 2-inch stub there because you don't want to cut off what will be the root, the fruit buds for next year. Other people say cut it right back to the branch. And of all I've watched and studied, I'm going to go with leaving a little 2-inch piece of stem there in order to hold the fruit buds on and be able to support the fruit. So if you see me doing that and you've seen other people cut them all the way back to the branch, it's done both ways, and I just have to make the best educated guess I can because everybody acts like the expert, and I'm just trying to do what I think's right. And I'm not kidding you. I say a little prayer before I start pruning on the tree for God to help me to make a decision to know what to cut. I don't want to kill my tree and I don't want to hurt it. I have a lot of time invested in them, and so I just kind of approach it with a prayer in my heart, saying, guide my pruners and let me make the right cuts. Let me do what's right, because every time before I go to prune, I go watch a couple of my favorite videos on the subject just to remind myself, because I am in no way an expert in this, and you should not be watching my video if you are looking for an expert opinion on how to prune or how to espalier apple trees. I'm doing the very best I can. I think I'm doing what's right. Of course, I would not do it if I didn't think it wasn't. And I'm actually going to attach a couple of my favorite fruit trimming videos below, especially those that are espaliered apple trees, because from them I draw my inspiration. And you can see what I mean. One of them, in one of the videos, the guy shows a whole row of espaliered apple trees, and none of them are above their heads. Here I'm just pulling out a weed that's grown up. hoping I don't pull myself over in the process. I have been known to do that, pull so hard that I fall over. But yeah, they just cut the top off that main leader, so it doesn't really grow up to look full and bushy, you know, like a normal tree you would expect to see. It is just, that main leader is just a nub of the big branch right there, the big trunk right there. I didn't think you could do that to a tree. I thought it would die, but that is not the case. Yeah, this branch comes out nice over to the right, but I don't have a branch coming out at the wire on the left, so I'm hoping this little guy will hang on and grow, and then I'll just train him right over there on that wire, and that'll be my main branch coming off there to the left. Here I'm showing you where I've left a little fruit bud right there. You can see I cut it off 2 inches about. Pardon me. So that's my plan, and I'm just trimming to get it all cleaned up. You can see new little growth coming out there, and I'm going to show you again another little place. Yep, all new growth in there. So I'm going to snip just past that new growth. See all the little tiny growth there, cutting right off there, and hoping all those little places will be support to heavy fruit next year. That's my hope and my dream. Cutting off those that are growing straight up, that's absolutely not what you want. You want it growing vertically and not horizontally. Yep. It's not quite as scary as when I first started pruning it, when I first started having the tree. Those first few cuts I made, I'm telling you, they were just nerve-wracking to me. But you have to say to yourself, yeah, I've got some time invested in this, and yes, I paid, you know, $18 or $20 for the rootstock, but I'm learning. And what's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that could happen is that I do something wrong and the tree dies and has to be replaced, and I start over. You sure don't want that to happen, but you know, when you boil it all down to the whole scheme of life, it's you know, you just do the best you can and hope that everything turns out all right. If I were to have to replace it, I would just replace it. Okay, that looks pretty good. That's nice and clean. When you look back down the limbs, it should just look like little bushy limbs. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to determine a leader here in this one. So I've cut that one off. Yep, that one's probably got to go too. I'm going to leave it till we get the big lopping shears out because I don't want to damage. Look at that, a Japanese beetle on my apple trees. You don't see that much, but Prep-A-Ray's on it. She got it. You can see some asparagus down there on the left. Yep, that's got to come out. It was growing toward the fence. Here's another one growing into the fence. Got to come off. Looking good. And when you get it done right, it looks really clean. It looks organized, and that's kind of what you want. You don't want limbs going every which way. You want the strength to grow into those branches that are growing out horizontal from the tree. I'll worry about that leader this evening when Paladin Prepper gets home. I'll have him cut down some there. Here's one. Here's a branch that's kind of growing out of the side of the tree, and it's twisting around, growing into the back. Gotta go. Right there. You want when you're using your clippers, you want the cutting edge closest to the tree. There you go. Nice. Oh, here I'm going for another little wild tree growing up there, a weed. I think that one I couldn't pull, so I'm just going to cut it off and we'll dig out the roots later. Alright, I'm done with both trees. Here's what I cut off the first tree laying on the ground there. I will cut off any big branches and cut them up and put them in the compost, but I'm leaving the leaf litter there to serve as mulch for the garden. I'll make the decision on which of those little branches to leave as leader this evening. And that's all for now. I hope you watch the videos made by the experts that I post below, and hope you've enjoyed the journey. Cat's Cradle.